Hi, and welcome back to My Guitar Pro Tutorials. Let's get started. If you were with me last time, we recreated this file, a little jazz guitar in C with some cool jazz chords and a 4-measure progression. If you haven't seen any of my tutorials before, I encourage you to go back and look at the first 2 tutorials for how to create some basic music like this. And I have some free practice files on my website you can use. So let's get started with the new file today. Today I'm going to show you how to recreate Brain Stew by Green Day. And this is just a 4-measure version of the song. Luckily the song is actually pretty much just these 4 measures over and over again. Makes it really easy for us. So first thing we're going to do is create a new file. And again, this is only going to affect the sound, not the way things look, but I'm going to hit electric guitar distortion and then create. Now, a couple of things we have to address, and it really matters the order that you do these things, is the tuning and the tempo and a couple of other interesting new things that are happening that haven't happened yet, like the down strums and up strums that we have in this file. So I'm going to show you how to do all of those things, but like I said, the order that you do this kind of matters. So what you need to do to make this work the way we want it to work is we're going to skip the tuning step for a second. That's really important. And we're going to go ahead and create everything else, and then we're going to come back and fix the tuning. Okay, so first thing, I'll go ahead and change the tempo to 145, I think it said. Yeah, 145. Okay, and we'll go ahead and label this. And just so you could see when I switch between the files a little easier, I'll go ahead and put 2 up here so it's a little more obvious. All right, so just an aesthetic change, fit to width, so I can see the whole thing a little easier. All right, so first up, we could do a couple of things here. You notice there's an A5 power chord here, and they're up at the top. We won't really have to worry about the top row here. This kind of takes care of itself, but we could do this a couple of different ways. If you've watched my videos in the past, you've seen me use a shortcut on the keyboard A, which opens up the chord diagram menu. But we're going to do this a little differently, just to show you you can do this a couple of ways. I'm going to actually enter in the chord by tab manually. So there's 5 and 7. And we want it to be an 8th note. So go ahead and change that to an 8th note. And now you notice that because I use the tab directly, I don't have a name or a chord diagram auto-populating my screen. So now I'm going to hit A, and you'll see that it automatically puts in the fingering for me. And that's just a cool way you can do this. If you're working with a chord that's only 2 notes, 3 notes, sometimes this way is a little quicker. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. And now we've got the chord name and the music and a chord diagram at the top. And we're just going to work through each measure just like that. So now we need to do the rhythm. And then after we get the rhythm in there, I'm going to show you how to put these down and up symbols in there as well. All right, so we need another 8th note. So I'm going to hit the shortcut C. Gives me 2 8th notes. All right, now the next step is I need some 8th notes, but you'll notice that they're all X's. So if you're not used to seeing this in tablature yet, what this means is you're hitting the strings while muting them, creating kind of a, I don't know, I can't make the sound with my mouth, but you get the idea. You're trying to make this kind of scratchy mute sound like they do in the song. So what we're going to do to create that is really straightforward. I'm going to move over my cursor, and then I'm going to pick a string. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to hit X, and then I'm going to go up to the next string, hit X, up to the next string, hit X, up to the next string, hit X. And if you want, you could do this on all 6 strings, but I find that when you hit the playback button, it sounds a little overkill. So I usually only do the middle strings, maybe just a couple of the low strings. Doesn't really matter. All right, and then I'm going to use the shortcut C to copy that a bunch of times. And there we go. We've got our first measure. Now, you might notice in the standard notation, if you're paying attention, you'll see that I have no sharps and flats. And then over here I do. And the reason for that is because the song is actually supposed to be tuned a half step down. If you don't know what that means, that basically just means when you're tuning your guitar, instead of tuning it to standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E, you're tuning each of those down by 1/2 step. So we call that tune down 1/2 step. And Guitar Pro has a really cool feature in here that you can very easily get to and create that. So we will come back to that and we will change that, but for now we're going to leave it alone. All right, so we're going to go to the next measure, and I'm just going to kind of fly through these really quickly and fill in the rest of these the exact same way. All right, so now we're done, and then you can tack on the repeat sign by simply clicking on the right side bracket on your keyboard like I just did. So I'm going to click standard tuning, go up to the top right, pull down bar to tune down a half step. And then we have a couple of options here you need to address, and this is important. If you click the wrong one, what's going to happen is it's going to change everything you just made. So we don't want that to happen. We want all of the tablature to be preserved. We want the chord names to be preserved because this is the way that maybe you memorized the names based on the frets. So what we're going to hit is keep fingering. And then you'll see the only thing that changes is the tuning marking here and the standard notation at the top. And now we have our sharps in there, just the way that this original file does. The staples are downs, the V's are up. We're going to add that very easily with the keyboard shortcut. Shift D for down. And then on our next eighth note, I'm going to use the mouse to click over. Shift U for up. And then we're just going to keep going. Shift D, Shift U. And now I'm using the keypad to go to the right. Shift D, Shift U. And there we go. All right, now that we've got everything, let's give it a play, see what it sounds like. Now, if you were headbanging along with me, I know you grew up in the 90s. All right, that's all I have for you today. Good luck.